So over the next number of weeks, we're going to go through the impacts of COVID on our business and how it's affected us in many ways, from positive to negatives, and really how we're now dealing with sales and dealing with how our business has changed in the past 12 months. So starting right back at 2019 December, when we were getting ready for the new year, making plans, putting targets in place, looking at new products, looking at what we were going to sell. Little did we know when it would have come to March, those things would have come to a complete stop, that all the plans that we did have in place were going to be put to the side. We were going to have to potentially look at either alternatives, or we might have had to shut the doors for a number of months until the lockdowns had been lifted. But really, it started in March, when one of my customers had actually sent me an email to ask the question, did we supply hand sanitizer? Now we would get a lot of inquiries, customers looking us to source products that we don't actually maybe stock, and this happens regularly. So when we did get the inquiry through, did we stock hand sanitizer, it was something that I was fairly confident that we could get, because we did stock hand soaps, we stocked toiletries, we stocked blue rolls. So we felt the suppliers that we already had, this was going to be easy. But at the time I wasn't aware of how crazy things were in terms of getting supply of hand sanitizer. So it was actually one day I was out doing a sales call in Fermanagh. I drove down, left early in the morning to be down there for my first call, and spent, after getting the inquiry, spent over 2 hours on the phone in one of the local car parks, just trying to get a contact of where we would get hand sanitizer. Now, after spending 2 hours and wasting most of the morning, finally got a source that had supply of hand sanitizer. Now, our normal supplier, we usually would have just bought a few cases, and that would have ranged from different sizes, of maybe 5 litres, 1 litres, 500 mils, most of which would have been for our own use, and then whatever was remaining, we would have then sold this on to our customers. But the supplier which we had been in contact with were looking us to buy in large volumes of stock, which at the time I was wondering, could we get rid of the stock, because obviously it wasn't something that we had sold loads of in the past. It was something that we did do, and we didn't particularly advertise it because the demand wasn't always there. But one inquiry would never have really forced us down the line of bringing in such a huge amount. But after making numerous phone calls, we started to see that there was such a huge demand for the product at the time. We were reluctant to bring this in, because the way I looked at it was, one, I didn't want to see people think that we were trying to maybe profiteer off a bad situation, or where because this wasn't a product we sold a lot of at the time, that we had just brought it in because we saw that there was an opportunity. The window was fairly small, but the scale in which we were able to source the product in and get it out was fairly big. So although the opportunity was big, we were just reluctant, because we didn't want businesses seeing us as trying to take a bad situation and turn it into good from our point of view. So we looked at this. We also looked at how we could help use this opportunity to maybe donate product to either it being NHS workers, or use it to donate to essential businesses that needed the product at the time. So we looked at that option, and we also looked at the option of we had seen where businesses were buying in loads of product and taking crazy margins on it, and we had seen businesses that had actually been suppliers of this stuff for a long time, who we had known stock was sitting in their store, were adding crazy margins onto their products. And really, we felt that if we had access to the product, obviously we had to try and cover the costs, because everything else in the business had come to a stop, other than certain products, which we're going to talk about in other videos, which surprisingly enough were slow moving products in our store at the time, but which turned into some of our biggest sellers over the summer of last year and had no relation to COVID. But sanitizer mainly was our source of sales during probably the months of March, April, May and June of last year. So this is really just to start off our videos. This is not something that we're normally used to doing, because it's difficult at the moment, not being fit to be on the road as much and see customers. We're working more from home, and I felt that this was a good opportunity to try and interact with maybe our customers and with you guys on social media, to try and show you where our journey began during COVID, and how this lockdown has been totally different, and it's been a new experience compared to the first lockdown, because we were so busy. But during the time when we were able to get access to the sanitizer, we decided that we would keep it simple. We would bring it in. We had to bring in large volumes, 1,000 litres at the time. We were decanting this down into 5 litres at a time, and we were trying to ensure that those that were getting their hands on it were in most need of the product, and we were trying to take a small margin based on covering the costs of the business, and also ensuring that we weren't seen to be taking a huge cut on something that was needed within, for example, the NHS and frontline workers, essential businesses. So what we done was we basically brought it in. We knew what we needed to cover our costs. We made those sales based on what we needed to cover our costs, and then whatever was left over at the end of on IBC, whether it was maybe, you could have got maybe, for example, you might have been fit to get 20 jars of 5 litres, which would have been 100 litres of sanitizer. We would have got this boxed up, and then we would have chose someone to donate this to. So what this really done, the reason why I went down this line was we were reluctant at the start, but back in 2019 I made the decision that I had seen the business change. We were focusing, when we took the business over, it was mainly an agricultural wholesaler, and I had a huge interest in trying to get into the PPE market, workwear market, because this is where I had a lot of interest in. I had a lot of interest sourcing those products, working with those products, learning about those products. So I wanted to try and touch my toe in, dip my toe into this marketplace and see if there was anything for us to grow. But this was mainly, I wanted to mainly get into the sanitizer when the option was there, because I felt that, with the essential businesses that were open at the time, they were businesses that I had seen the opportunity to go in and promote the workwear products that we had on offer, and at the time it was hard to get through the door because these guys didn't see us as a serious supplier, and with the sanitizer, without making any huge profit, we were fit to go through their door, offer them a solution to the problem that they had at that time. They were fit to keep their doors open because we were supplying them products to keep their employees safe, and then this allowed us to get to know the buyers within these businesses, be fit to basically promote the other products that we had, and then that allowed me to make a plan of how we would continue doing business with these people after potentially COVID would have either went away, which we expected maybe before Christmas of last year, or when the demand wasn't there as much, for example, your sanitizer, disinfectants, masks, etc. So that was the plan, and that was the plan that we went with. That was why we went down the line of bringing the sanitizer in, because we just felt it was the best option for our business at the time. It opened up new doors, it opened up new opportunities. We weren't seen to be profiteering. We tried to basically use it as a way to cover costs and to keep the business afloat during the lockdown. It also kept us busy, and really that opened up a lot of new opportunities. We were fit to bring on a new salesman, our new sales guy, who has now worked into a business development role, looking after opening up new business, focusing on the businesses which we have been targeting from March of last year. And we have also been fit to expand our product range and really now dig deeper into this workwear and PPE supplies, and we've been fit to rebrand the business. We've been fit to give ourselves a new image, new logo. We're now in the process of building a website. We were fit to bring out new catalogs, and this is all things that we were trying to do prior to COVID, but things that I never thought that we would have been fit to do actually during COVID, because it was so mental at the time. So what we're going to do is, over the next number of weeks, I'm going to talk about certain things happened during the lockdown, certain products that took off that I didn't even know would take off, especially because people were at home, they weren't working, and then how obviously that led to this lockdown, and how this lockdown has affected our business in a different way than the first lockdown. So doing the videos is new for me. I don't really like having my face stuck on a camera, but maybe we can this is a good way to let people see how our business has been affected by COVID, and how we were fit to make a bad situation essentially a good one, in terms of keeping the business going, being able to help key workers, being able to offer our services when they were needed, and how it has got us to the next stage in developing our business.